This is going to be a really quick video on my BlackBerry and my Samsung 10 and why I switched. So I'm going to ramble on for a little bit, give you a little bit of info. And originally, I owned a Kyocera flip phone. Paid about $10 a month, barely used my phone. I just kept it in my pocket for phone calls. And then I got involved in social media and talking to a certain celebrity. And that required text messaging. And on the Kyocera, what I had to do was I had to click on, if I was typing the letter B, I would have to go to the number 1 and click it twice to get the B letter as my text that I was sending. So I went out and I bought a BlackBerry. Now at work, BlackBerries were the standard. BlackBerries were issued to employees, and it was on AT&T. A lot of people didn't like the signal with AT&T, and they didn't like that they were locked down with the work cell phone. At work, the cell phones were monitored. They knew what you were doing. They knew who you were calling. They knew what apps you were running, and things were locked down, so you could not install apps that they didn't want you to have on there. So there was a lot of anger with the BlackBerry by the employees. Well, I didn't have a issued BlackBerry. I went out and I bought one because I thought they were pretty cool, and I liked the security of the BlackBerry. I'm very into security, so I went out and I bought my own Bold. Well, I bought another one before that. I can't remember what I bought before the Bold. And I loved it. Compared to all the other people that really hated it. I loved it. So I used that for a while. I went out and I bought the, what the heck was it, the 9800, I think? 9900? And I used that. And I used it for phones, and I used it for social media, for texting. I did lots of texting. And so it worked out for me. I didn't really make a lot of phone calls. I just needed mostly a data signal, and that's what I was using it for, to send my messages. So the phone worked out for me really well. Got a nice discount through a work discount. And I wasn't worried about apps because I wasn't into that. I wasn't into apps in my life. I didn't care about apps. All I was doing was, and let's face it, those of us who've been around, these are programs. They were always called programs. Suddenly they're called apps now. They're programs. And whether you're using Twitter or Facebook or Messenger or a text thing, you had these programs on your cell phone that you used. I didn't need stuff like the market apps or the going to get a coffee discount or a coupon app. I didn't need any of that stuff. So to me, just a simple cell phone worked. And then I started getting a little bit more advanced in wanting control of my digital camera or my video camera, and that required an app. Or I wanted to control a security camera, that required an app. So all of a sudden I needed to have some app access. Now with the BlackBerry, I went and I moved to the BlackBerry Priv. Love BlackBerry. And when I was on the Bold, I kept on saying, I've got to get a BlackBerry because I love the keyboard. I love the slide-out physical keyboard. And I got the Priv. I stopped using the keyboard. Everybody said, if you're a BlackBerry user, you got to have that keyboard. And no, I just stopped using it. So I think it's like anything in life, you adapt. And there are some people that say they can't get by without having that physical keyboard. Well, I was one of those people. And then finally I just said, I don't need it. Now, I'll admit it's a lot slower typing on that screen. It's much slower. And it takes me forever. But I didn't use the physical keyboard after that. So the Priv took care of me for about 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden, this little switch on the side, the power switch, and the battery problem. So all of a sudden, the battery that used to last for 2 days started lasting about 10 hours. And to open this thing up, you can do it. You can't open it up and swap out the battery. I was going to put in a new battery. The problem is that you don't know how old these batteries are that the companies are carrying. You don't. This is not a popular battery. It's only used in the Priv. And I didn't want to tear down the Priv, stand a chance of messing the whole thing up, just so I could put in a battery that was as bad as the one that I had here. So the other problem is when the battery died, if I didn't get the charger on in time, and it would charge up, then the lights would go all freaky and I'd have to press this button to turn it on. Well, it didn't work. I had to keep on digging in there to get contact with the on-off switch. So that just became almost a safety issue, because I couldn't turn off the cell phone if I was in a building where I needed to turn it off, and I couldn't turn it on if I needed to turn it on. That's when I thought I really need to address this somehow. And so you've got the keyboard over here. Like I said, I really haven't used this since I bought it, just a few times, then I just gave up on it. And so I went down to the store, and this Samsung was on sale for like $400 off. And I thought, I don't really have a choice, because the battery on here is dying and the switch is broken and I need to do something. So I bought this thing. I didn't want to, and I did want to. So let me tell you my concerns. My concerns were security. BlackBerry is locked down really well. The root, it's locked down. You cannot go in there and bypass the BlackBerry, whereas you might be able to with this. With the BlackBerry, you just can't do it. But I never needed to worry about that, because I'm not going to do that to my phone. So Samsung was okay then. BlackBerry's got the thing called Detect, goes in there and checks your phone, makes sure that everything's secure, does a scan of the apps. Samsung does the same thing. BlackBerry, I love. Everybody hated it when it came out, the BlackBerry Hub. Everybody hated it on the BlackBerry phones. And I bought it, and I loved the hub. I went, wow, this is so convenient. Everything's in one area. I was going to install. You can install Detect. You can install the BlackBerry Hub on any Android phone. After 30 days, you get ads, but you can still install it. So I installed it on this phone. Then after I installed it, I set up my emails on the email part of the program over here, on the email app. And I said, whoa, I don't need to have the BlackBerry Hub. The email thing on here works the same way. I have total control over my emails. And not only do I have control over the emails, but when I scroll down, I can see all notifications from all the apps all in one place. Again, I didn't need this. So what are the other reasons that I wanted this? I can run a ton of apps on here, and not that I am, but I can run a lot of apps. I have much better camera. The problem with BlackBerry, which used to be state of the art, they used to be at the top of their game. BlackBerry comes out with telephones that are using slower processors that are not current with the market. Now again, at the time, I didn't care, because I wasn't really doing anything. I just don't care. I don't need the fast processor to do social media. But you don't have a fast processor on here, you get the fast processor on the new phone. And the other problem was I contacted BlackBerry. I said, when are you coming out with a new phone? Because I want to buy another BlackBerry. We don't know. We'll come out with it when we come out with it. And you can wait. You can wait until we decide to tell you we have a new phone, and then we'll come out with a phone, and you can buy it when we're ready to market it. I can't deal with something like that. I needed to know when I had to hold on to, how long I needed to hold on to this phone for. So while I like BlackBerry, I don't like their attitude. I couldn't wait. So I went out and I bought this phone. It's a much faster processor. It doesn't have the physical keyboard. It's got a much better camera. It is state-of-the-art. It does the Detect. It does the email. It does everything that the BlackBerry did, except it does it better, it does it faster, and it's easier. Now let me give you some info if you're going to make the switch. It is, when I bought it, they, at the store, they Bluetooth the two things, and they connected the contacts over to the Samsung. I don't know how the heck she did it, but there's a way to do it. So she moved the contacts over. That was very easy. As far as data on the SD card, I went in and installed the Samsung DeX, whatever that is, program, and I did a copy and paste from SD card to SD card. It took me about 5 hours to move 20-some gigs of data, and so I was able to get my SD data. As far as notes on here, notes, I don't know how, they have their own notes program on here. I wasn't able to copy the notes that I had on here over to here, so you're going to have to do that manually. But, you know, when you have a phone that is so obsolete right now, even though it is a cool phone. I like BlackBerry. It is so obsolete, and they're not coming into the modern age. You can't copy your notes over to here. So you're going to have to do it manually. You will be able to copy the contacts, photos, photo data. You'll be able to do that. The neat thing about the Priv, it's an Android. And with Android, you're connected to Google and to Play Store. So what ends up happening is when you set up the new phone, it's just a new phone. It really doesn't know what's going on. And then you go in and you put in your Play Store account. Oh, I'm getting a message. You put in your Play Store account, you put in your Google info, and now the new phone looks at the Play Store and it says, oh, these are a bunch of apps that you used on your old phone. Do you want to install them? And if you install them, whoa, everything's almost set up for you. Now, if on the old phone you set up Google Backup, I could be wrong, but I believe when you set up Google Backup, that also lets the new phone know about the apps that you had installed. And so all of a sudden I was getting a whole list of apps that I can install on here, which I did, and it made it very easy, like my Alexa and my Smart Life. I installed Alexa. I put in the password for Alexa, and all of a sudden Smart Life was running. So a lot of these other things I did have to look at my passwords and put in the passwords, but it took me about 2 or 3 days at nighttime, maybe 25, 35 hours to get everything going, and I just have a simple setup. And so I've got my apps running on here now, and I was a dedicated, loyal BlackBerry customer. It is BlackBerry not communicating with the customer and telling them when a new phone is coming out that made me leave. I was a lifetime dedicated AT&T subscriber for years and years, and AT&T kept on bumping up the rates on my plan because they wanted me to be off the grandfathered plan. So I switched over to Verizon. I am paying 50% less. I don't have to deal with the corporate attitude of AT&T. I don't have to deal with the corporate attitude of BlackBerry. Yes, there is going to be a corporate attitude with Verizon, but as long as I don't have to deal with it or see it, I'm okay. I don't have to deal with the Samsung attitude. The phone is working. I didn't get insurance. I'm hoping the thing's going to last me 4 or 5 years like the BlackBerry did. And it was a very tough decision. It was a tough choice to make, to leave something like this. But, you know, in my life, I'm changing over. I rescued a dog. I never had a dog. Well, I had a dog as a kid. I bought a new car when I had a car for years. I got the Samsung when I had the BlackBerry for years. I got the Verizon when I was on AT&T for years. I bought action cameras when I always used video cameras. I bought a fast computer to process my video data when I've always used a slower computer. I switched to Windows 10. Of course, I hate Windows 10, but when I set up the thing to make it look like Windows 7, then I'm happy. So I switched to Windows 10 when I was a lover of Windows 7. I switched to Windows 7 when I was a lover of XP. My advice to you, you're going to get to a point where you're going to say, enough with the BlackBerry and their attitude. Go switch over to a current modern phone that does the same stuff as this phone. And it's faster, and it's newer, and you're going to be happier once you make the switch. So there we go, people. Thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, comment. I'm going to fill this video with 1 million ads just to, because that's what I do. And my advice to you is make the switch. You're going to be happier. You really will. In the long run, I was not sure when I first did it, but I knew that I needed to do it. See, look at this. I'm trying to get the screen to come back on. Just ridiculous. I knew that I needed to do it, and I did it, and I could not be happier. And I think you ought to do the same thing. I'm not bashing BlackBerry, but I will say you cannot keep a phone company going when all these other companies are popping out new models every 6 months, every year. And I know the market is kind of bad right now for cell phones because there's nothing really new out there. But when you put out a phone every year and a half, every 2 years, and you say, hey, we're not going to let you know when, but when it happens, it happens. No can do for me. That's my video. Switch from the BlackBerry. I love the Samsung 10 Plus, got a really good holiday deal on it, got a good deal on my data. I went from $100 a month on this phone, well, $99, $100 a month on this phone, down to $40 on this phone. Unlimited grandfathered in data on this phone, unlimited data on this phone. They might drop it down a little bit depending on congestion, but unlimited data. What else is there? And my monthly fee is less. I got a much faster phone, a much better phone, and you can't beat it. Switch.